Welcome to the BOREDinDE podcast, and now with your hosts, Uncle Tuck and G-Jones. We're going to jump right into it.
Okay.
Evolution of a butterfly's truth. How did that name come about?
I wanted something that was, I guess, catching to the ear,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't want it to be plain because that's just not me anyway. And so the way that I was looking at life, it's like this constant evolution. And I see myself as a butterfly that's, at first you're this caterpillar, and then, you go through things and you start to have this metamorphosis, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, okay, evolution of a butterfly, that's me, truth, because everything in this book is either mostly my truth or someone else's that I still spun where it's really relatable. So once, I know it's like a mouthful to say, but beyond that, I'm like, no, that's perfect. And it's not, I'm not changing it.
Yeah, because it looks like when I went to your site and checked it out and everything, it's a book of poetry
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
everything. So G, you could definitely relate to that because G also has a book of poetry where he shares,
Oh,
some
word. Okay.
feelings and stuff like that. So, G, I'm going to rely on you to go heavy on the questions and everything because I know this is your background. This is your forte.
Listen. I appreciate it. I was thinking myself. I already had them on deck, so okay. I just didn't get to write them. But with that said, what got you into poetry?
And so I've been writing since I was 14. And I've always loved words. And so I want to say, oh my goodness, the first time I thought I was going to do a freestyle, that's how this started. And I realized I'm not a rapper. And so, but I still like rhyming words, but this is how this started. Um, and actually, it was to that AZ song with Monifa, like that beat. And I'm like, anyway, I'm not going to go into it. So, anyway.
Oh, we want you to go into it.
What?
Yeah, go
Like
into it.
little Sugar Hill. It's so lovely.
It was about this little boy at the pool that wasn't giving me any play, and I wrote a rap about him.
Right.
Anywho, so
I bet you tore him up in that to bars. Listen, tore him up.
probably. Yeah. Well, oh my goodness, it's like something about this name that I won't say. So, nope, I'm not even gonna try it. It's fine. So
Yes.
anyway, I was 14. And then, any little boyfriend I had past then, I would just write them something. But I really got into it at University of Delaware. And so they started to have this, I don't know, this event called Stimulating Prose, Idea, and Theories. And so the acronym was SPIT. And so I decided with my shy self that I'm going to go up here and just do, this poem that I'm going to try to remember. So that was maybe 2001, and then I just caught the bug. Um, from there, I kind of let it go for a little bit, but still would just write things privately. And then after that, about 2006 or so, I started to perform in Philly. And then since then, it's just been, different venues, Warm Daddies, the Arts Garage, either featuring, hosting, um, also here in Delaware, of course. And, from there, I just jumped off.
Yeah, because I first came to hear your poetry at Aziza's show. I think she brought you up on stage at the Queen, and I was like,
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, I know her. I think we're Facebook, Instagram friends." And you was up there and you were reading from your book, and I was like, "Wow, she is dope." I'm sitting there with my girl and our whole little cigar bar crew that you always pass us and everything. We were sitting there and it was like, "Yo, this woman is dope." Like. You were hidden gem to me in Delaware. I mean, honestly, I seen you and we became friends on social media, but I didn't know that you were that deep and everything as far as in poetry. You just always appeared to me to be an artsy kind of lady. Like I thought maybe you were more of a painter or something like that, but to see you on stage and you was rocking that, I was like, wow. Like you really had us captive because I mean Aziza was putting on a hell of a show, but when she gave you that lane, you took the baton and ran with it, and it was beautiful.
God, it was so fun. Yeah, that was a fun day. So, another musician who enjoys my writing let me know that Aziza was looking for someone to kind of just fill in and do, some poetry. And I'm used to doing like, I guess I call it like a mashup because I've worked with Best Kept Soul like a few times since like the last like 10 years.
Hmm.
And so I'm used to doing it with Miss Ann Latrice. And I'm like, you know what? If you have this song, I have plenty of poetry that can kind of weave itself into the music. And so, after one practice, basically, that was it, and it just flowed. But yeah, stuff like that is so fun.
Yo, G, she is like your female counterpart, cause that's how you be getting down. Like, oh, let me
That's a
hear it.
fact.
Okay, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. We ready. We can hit the stage with this. I'm ready. I'm ready.
That's a fact. It made me wonder. So, like, for your written work, like when you write versus when you perform, do you feel like there's a difference in how you actually go about that process?
Hmm. Let me think about this. So let's say maybe at first I almost wrote for the audience, and then I decided that that's not going to work. Um, I write for myself, and if the audience picks up on it, then it's absolutely for them. And so now I just write exactly how I feel, and that has been, that's just a better lane for me because I'm talking real stuff, in the first place. Now, when I'm performing, yeah, there might be certain lines that I hit a certain way, but when I'm writing it, I'm saying it out loud too to see if there has a certain rhythm or a cadence or something like that. So I would say they kind of go hand in hand.
What do you enjoy doing more, writing or performing?
Hmm. I'd say performing because at least this stuff is just not spinning, up here, and I can actually I get to give it to someone else. Um,
Mm.
but it's nerve-wracking also because I'm actually more introverted than I am an extrovert. But then when I hit the stage, there's like this, like Beyonce has her Sasha Fierce, that's fine. I don't know who you want to call my alter ego, but when I hit the stage, it's like me squared. And so I would say it just accesses different parts of me. But I think without enjoying the writing, the performing wouldn't be fun at all.
Dig it. I dig it. So that makes me curious, right? As you go through that, did you always know you'd be an author? Like once you started writing, you was like, okay, listen, I'm gonna put a book together. Or did it like how did that journey happen?
Yeah. So I want to say maybe 15 years ago, other poets that I had come across, they kept saying, you should publish, you should publish. And then I performed somewhere here in Delaware. It used to be called Film Brothers. I think it's a different, I don't know, it's not that name anymore. But either way, there's a publisher around here that came up to me after I got done performing and said that same thing. And so, I spun this around, and I take forever to do a lot of things. So, this was even 8 years ago, but that's when the seed was planted that maybe this could be put, into this instead of it being in my phone or on like some makeshift book that I'm just trying to pull together at Staples. And so I
Not the
think I want
Staples
to say
plug.
maybe about, I mean, they did a good job for what I asked them for.
That's a fact. Like they understood the assignment. Okay.
Yeah. They got it right. But I mean,
Okay.
it just, oh man, yeah, I'll tell that story another time of how I had to put these pages in a. It was just not. It wasn't bound like this, and so I won't do it again. But I would say in my mind, I was aspiring to be an author for at least 8 years, and so I would just keep housing all of my pieces. And I would organize every now and then, but then, it just kind of aligned where 2 years ago needed to be that time.
When you know, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how did you go about selecting the entries for the book? Because like, if you're anything like Jarrell, you probably have tons and tons of poems and stuff, like some that may never see the light of day, until the universe call you home, and then one of your ancestors would be like, oh, let me let this out and everything. You know, you guys probably have like the Prince vault of poetry and stuff, like just things that you wrote and you was like, all right, I'm not feeling this at the time, but then you go back and you be like, wow, okay, I can work with this now. How did you go about selecting those entries for the book though?
It's so hard. The way I equate it is, again, I'm not a rapper or, you know, a singer, but it's like when you're trying to drop your first album and you have years and years of like footage and just stuff, and you're so excited for that first project. And so you want to put all of it in because you feel like it needs to be given right now. And so I had to get over that because I didn't want a 300-page book. I wanted, you know, in the 100. And I knew, like, I know I'm writing another one. It's happening now. And so it was wild. I mean, my living room had all the papers everywhere, and I'm trying to put them into categories for my chapters. And so I had all kinds of post-its and sticky notes for like what subject it is. And it just began to come together. And then, Lord, putting it in the order also was a process, but it was fun. It's just, you know, you're trying to show to the world what is in your mind in a certain way, and trying to figure out the best way that's going to be received. That's a process. And then, yeah, it came together, but it was definitely a journey. But I guess the way I look at it is that because I know that I'm going to have more than one book, there's time, and there's time to put things in another way. And, you know, snippets I'm even writing and posting now, I know that they're going in my next book. So you just realize that this one thing doesn't have to be the end of it.
Hey G, how familiar is that workflow?
So it's amazing to me because it's exactly what I went through. Like the exact, like it's interesting to hear it come from somebody else's mouth. But like the process of saying, listen, all right, I'm writing all of these, and then saying, no, that's going to be too much. All right, make it volumes. Because if you can make it volumes, and I can split it up into different entities, and then now, all right, well, which one's going to go into this one? Well, now I only want to tell this portion of this message, but you don't want to disrupt the integrity of the message as well. Like, and even to the point in which when you said, it's like you know, it's just because of my passion and love for music, that same entity of knowing what I respect an album to be, right, and looking at a book to be the same way when it's full of poems. Like this is what I want you to feel when you move through it. Like how does it flow? You know, because the organization of it feels so important when you're telling your own story. With that said, how'd you know when it was done?
Man, the way that I put the chapters together, I actually call them books. So book one is about spirituality. And so the way I decided to organize it is that it's like my take on spirituality. So I start off with kind of a prayer, and then it goes through, you know, being mad at God about a few things and, you know, whatever else. And so that's how I approached each chapter. And I asked myself in each, you know, subject matter, does this say all I need to say about this thing? And once the answer was yes, I was like, that's it. So, you know, people that know me personally know that I am a person that loves love. And so my biggest chapter is the love chapter. It's like 40 pages on its own. And that's because there's so much to say about it. And that was hard to cut, you know, things out of it. But because the last chapter is about like grief and like resilience and all of that, I knew it was done based on the last poem. And I was like, no, this is it. And so, you know how things just happen? Like you don't know that it's done, but like you get told that it's done and you're like, oh, okay, I guess that's it then. So like, that's kind of how I just kind of live life. Like, oh, this is happening now. Oh.
Now, is it something that you have in your book that like you almost didn't put in there because it really hits a nerve with you? Like you sound like you're really into like love and relationships and things of that sort. I know it's got to be something in there. You like, you were just kind of on the fence of putting it in there.
Alrighty then. So we're doing this. So my whole sensuality chapter, I was like,
Hey.
So my mom will appreciate this. I had her come over one day and I just showed I showed her one of my poems. And meanwhile, and I'm like 36 at the time. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there looking like, and I'm like, so just tell me what you think about it. Now it's so quiet while she's reading. I'm watching her facial expressions. I'm just like, I know I'm getting a beating. It's over. It's over for me. Like she's going to put me over her knee. And so at the end, she was just like, I like it. Yeah, you're definitely, my child. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's a good thing, right? And so she appreciated it, but I'm talking about some grown subjects in that chapter. So I would say every single one in that, but I put it in the middle, right? So you can't just page through the front and be like, oh, spirituality. In the back is resilience, but that middle part after love, yeah, it's
It gets there.
classy,
It goes there.
but it goes there. And there's one, see, I wish you had the book in front of you, but there's one called The Great Orators.
Hey.
And it talks about oral. I won't even, yeah. I'm like kind of blushing already.
Right? That's it. Listen.
It does.
What?
Yeah. Talks about linguistics.
Right.
I think I mentioned that.
Well, all right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know how to put it a certain way, but yeah, my 80-plus-year-old grandmother, I talked to her about it and was just like, look here, Nana, I almost taped over that whole entire chapter because I just didn't want you to see me that way. And she was like, oh, baby, you're grown. I'm like, all right. So I have support, and that's what made me say, you know what, I'm going for this. Like,
And
if
that
I'm going to do
support
it, I'm
means a
doing
lot.
it.
That support definitely means a lot, especially coming from people that you love and you look up to, like your mom and then your nana. Like that's all the backing you need. Everybody else is just an additional bonus that supports.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, well, I mean, my nana had 6 kids, my mom had 4 kids, so I know y'all know what I'm talking about.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Oh well.
Right. Listen, they know what they know how to handle that. Okay, don't think that that they ain't been through it before you've been through it. Okay, a couple times they know what it was like.
Now, what's the
And I will say, real quick, and I will say, just as an author as well, you also know when you go to those places that feel edgy for you, it's also knowing how creative and clever you are that helps it too, right? Because sometimes you write stuff like, yeah, but like it just feels so clever as you wrote it that you like, I kind of got to keep it though. The world needs to read this.
Yeah,
they need to know.
Yeah. I definitely said what I said, and it's sticking.
That's a fact.
Now, what about the feedback from like your friends or some of your peers that have came across and purchased and got a copy of the book? Do they look at you like, girl?
Well, do you mean about the sensuality chapter, or just like as a whole?
Just any part of the book that may resonate with them.
I mean, the general consensus, well, I guess I'll say a few things. So first, they do feel like it was like well written and really, really personal, and it touched them, like really, like really got to the heart of things. So that felt really good because that was my first goal was like, I want you to feel this. Like, this is not just me talking. This is me trying to let you know that you're not alone in the things that you're thinking, because I'm going to say them in a way where now you know that we can relate. So a lot of that was, definitely expressed. Yeah, and I would say, I mean, if you know me personally, you're not going to be surprised at the things in the book, even, that suggestive chapter. But I even had one friend say, I didn't know that you were that smart. And I'm like, I don't know how to take that, but I guess maybe because like the words, not like it came across like sweet, like, dang, I didn't know you knew how to. And there's certain words in there where, one of my friends was like, I might need a thesaurus. But that's actually fine with me because, it does show that, in my real life, I am a psychology instructor. I work in mental health. Like, I guess I just know a lot of words. And so I think it was really well received because it's real. And that was like one of my first goals also with it being relatable.
But as being a creative, we all get hit with that question every now and then. Like, yo, I didn't know you was that dope, or I didn't know you was that deep, and this and that. And be like, okay, I guess you really don't know me, or you really haven't been paying
Yeah.
attention and
Hmm.
everything.
Who was like, oh, I didn't know you was that illiterate. Maybe you didn't
Right.
know. Okay,
Right.
it's not my fault.
You speak so well. You're so well spoken. Right.
Right.
Yo,
You're like, oh, okay then.
But you know what? My apologies. Let me double back with something because I was so anxious to get into the book. Tell us about you. You gave us a little bit of insight. Everything. I know you went to
Mhm.
college for psychology and everything. Just tell us who LaShawn is.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Me as an individual. Yeah. I mean, I work in mental health. I am a mother of a 6-year-old um, son. I have a son. Let's see. I am forever a basketball player. Like ball is life, and
Mm.
it never stops. So that's my first love before poetry. It was ball, then poetry, and then, whomever's sons who came across and tried to, get my attention. But anyway, um,
Now, it's
work
something.
in
It's something
mental
you
health.
forgetting. It's something you forgetting. Because I read your bio. I want to hear about this closet DJ stuff.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh.
all the
Yes.
wheels are still on the
Yeah.
ones and
Okay. So,
twos. Let's get it.
well, see, yeah, so I am a sucker for good harmonies, but also like I love this game of like who sampled this and finding the original and then seeing like what part did they take out. And so I actually make playlists, as I guess like a passion or a hobby. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll quiz people and be like, can you hear what this sample is? And then I'll get all, I guess happy if they can't figure it out because I already did, and it's this whole thing. But yeah, I love, love, love music.
Well,
Um, and
LJ, I
so
could
I
tell you.
think that.
LJ, I could
Go
tell
ahead.
you this: you got a kindred spirit in Jarrell. You got a kindred spirit in that brother
That's
right
what's up.
there.
I love it.
Cause
Yeah,
that brother will sit down with you and talk music, poetry, over something to drink. Just nice atmosphere. Your kindred spirit right there. I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and shut my
So
camera off and let
wait,
y'all do this.
but
okay.
here's what's funny about you saying that. So right, as a trainer, when I train classes, I play music. On the playlist, I would go through a
Mm.
YouTube playlist. I would purposefully play like because I didn't play like hip hop as like music during the class. I play like R&B and stuff, but I was weary about some of that, like hip hop wise. But I would play original
Hmm.
samples from the beats. Like so, I might play a little Roy Ayers. I wouldn't play Crush on You.
Yes.
Bennett, Bennett,
Hmm. Hmm.
Bennett. So instead, I'm gonna play the original in the class. Sitting there like, what? Wait, what's this? Is this it? Yeah, you don't know that about
Waiting for
this one.
little
Is this the
C's.
original? Yeah, yes. And then they
Like,
like, wait, this is where the
like,
original
where
comes
Lil
from. And
Kim
I'm
at?
like,
Like, no, no.
ah, right. So yeah, I'm. Oh man, I love finding the roots of the music and whatnot. So yeah, I'm with you.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Like I love that because you just see how it's recycled. But then if you get into the producing, you can see if they added bass to something or if they like just let it really stay authentic to the song. And I actually like that. Like, one of the songs that Jay-Z has on the American Gangster album, um, he uses this Marvin Gaye part to it. Now the song of his is called American Dreaming.
American Dreaming.
But
That's a fact. Yep.
right. So when you play those two together, you can hear that he basically didn't touch it. And I like that because you're paying homage to Marvin by you're not manipulating that beat so much.
So
Now,
it took me forever to gain an appreciation for that because like that thing is a thing that Kanye does, is a thing that Diddy made half his career off of not touching the sample. Like it was like he
Mm-hmm.
didn't it was
Mm-hmm.
just he took that and he just let it play. And it was like, all right. And for a long time I used to look at it and be like, so you really this man just made millions and he ain't do nothing. He just hit play. And then as I get older, I start to understand how this current generation doesn't do research. So it's far more
Mhm.
important that you let it play sometimes because they're not gonna look for the stems. They ain't gonna look to see, oh wait, did you know that one element was there? He really cut that beat up. Like I used to be like,
Right.
wow, you see how he hit, how like how they hit,
Mhm.
how they could hide it. But now make it blatant because they ain't gonna look it up. So you might as well make sure that Return of the Mac they can hear Return of the Mac because they don't even know Mark
Mhm.
Morrison now. So you gotta like,
Hmm.
Exactly.
so yeah, it's crazy. So that's yeah,
And I just
appreciate
want y'all two to know I didn't plan this. I mean, honestly, just
I
this whole thing
believe
is
that
like
nothing
wow,
is, yeah.
because
You just watching this play out.
right, because LJ, if you notice, G's whole body language changed once you start hitting points that he was with. He was like, yeah.
Oh,
because
yes.
because I can just identify so much with all with every all of it because just and even to the point in which when you say so me and Tuck get into these conversations all the time because of how I hear music, right? I listen to music for two different things.
Mm.
Sometimes I'm listening for lyrics, sometimes I'm listening for harmonies. So which is why I can understand a lot of
Mhm.
today's music and why it works is because a lot of these people don't pay attention to bars as much as they pay attention to harmonies, right? And if that's what they
Right.
live with, that's how you get a future, a like a lot of that southern music that's come to the forefront lives in a harmony space. It doesn't live in a lyrical space, which is fine because there's
Mhm.
an art to that as well, you know. And something you said
Yep.
about your book previously is, you know, you want to make people feel it, which is that's what art is about to me. It's always about making people feel something. If if
Yes.
you want to know what bad art is, say something that makes nobody feel anything. If nobody has an opinion,
Right.
then you're not a good artist. Okay, like because they didn't. That's you know
Just
that's what
talking.
inspires.
Right.
Yeah. So who are your
Mhm.
favorite artists?
So I'm not going to date myself. I always told my parents I think that my birth year is actually 10 years later than what it really should be. And so, but my favorite artist, like of all time, would be like Stevie, Donnie, Marvin. I have a whole record player. I'm looking at it right now, like Nina Simone, like just um, I like old school like soul, R&B, funk,
Mm,
um, Curtis Mayfield, like just I really am an old soul. I know that I've been here before, and so maybe in a previous life I actually saw them in concert, which is why I feel them so much now. But either way, like those are my old school artists. Um, and so, in the early 2000s, when, the neo soul movement hit, I was like right in there. So, of course, like Erica and Music and Jill. I mean, I've seen all of them in concert. Flowetry. When Flowetry came out, I was sold because obviously it's like what I want to do, is like mash up and have someone that can sing as I do poetry. So, anyway, all of them. And then, lately it would be like her, Daniel Caesar,
mm,
Snow Allegra. I still do listen to rap. I know I'm not naming any rappers, but I definitely have, playlist that is just like all hip hop, J. Cole, To Live, Most Def, like that kind of thing. So because I love music so much, I can never pick a favorite. I can just name like 10 of each genre and be like, you know what, let's just figure it out.
And you talking about not dating yourself when you was going through your soul list. I'm like, damn. Yeah, I seen him perform. Got to see him
mm.
perform before he died. I saw them perform
Hmm.
twice, and I'm sitting there like, damn,
Hmm.
pops. I'm
Nah,
like,
listen, no,
I'm like,
Ain't nothing
yeah,
wrong with it though.
cause
that's art.
I've been blessed to see Stevie Wonder twice. I do want to see him now as an
Me
older
too.
person because I saw him twice when I was in my 20s, and I love the music, but I've grown to appreciate it more because when I started out as a DJ, I was just known for like playing hits and, I was more
Hmm.
of a battle DJ. It wasn't
Mm.
until, the 90s when I started doing some light intern work at Rough House and started getting exposed to the backside of music that I started paying attention to stuff. And it's funny that you mentioned
Mm.
because like the neo soul movement, a lot of us that went to college in the early 90s, we saw that develop. We saw it. Like, I
Oh.
remember
Hmm.
when Marsha and Natalie first got to the States and we saw them at Black
Yeah.
Lilies and was like, wow, these girls is dope. I said, well, we were comparing them to Moni Love, because Moni Love was the only UK person that we knew here and stuff. But when they showed up, it was like, damn. Then, it was anytime you could see Jazzy Fat Nasties, you could see Jaguar right before, she, fell off the short bus.
Nope, don't do that. Nope. edit point.
Disrespectful.
Jill Scott, like actually Jill Scott's first husband, we went to school together and everything. He was a good people and stuff. So to see all that, and it's like you sitting there running it down, I'm like, damn, I remember all of that. I remember the green room. The green room, some of the best conversations came out the green room, but I'm not hogging up your interview. It's just some of the names you were mentioning, I was like, damn.
Okay, right. Got inspired. Telling y'all just got inspired with a thought. My thought process says the neo soul movement came heavily, right? Because that was like if you look at the native tongues and all that space, right? It was a follow up, right? But that was in the hip hop side. Without credit, what gets underrated is Arrested Development,
right?
Because really, a lot of everything that came from the neo soul movement was a lot of elements that lived in what Arrested Development was doing and kind of just bloomed after that space.
But
that just dawned on me.
To even take it further, I do see Arrested Development being the migration of the native tongues. Because the native tongues as a unit, they all were kind of like along that, but it was kind of leaning more heavy on jazz. And then as it got a little bit older, I think native tongues spun off to become Arrested Development. Arrested Development ignited that spark, which what we have now is neo soul, because you can't take it from them, because they were hitting a lot of them chords that we now know and love through neo soul and everything.
Yep, I give you that.
Do you appreciate
music all day? I can tell.
Do you appreciate some artists more for their like? Do you judge an artist by their pen from time to time?
You mean like by their writing?
Yes.
I knew that question was coming.
I mean, I am. I wouldn't say judge, because I just try not to judge, kind of like period. But I would say, can I appreciate, the lyrics behind something? So I think for me, listening to music has like a 3-step process. First, the beat has to catch me, or else I'm going to probably skip it over, and that's a shame. But like it just is what it is. So once I love the beat, I'm stuck in that for probably the first 3 times I listen. And then after that, I'm listening for, okay, well, what did they say? Let me make sure I really, really like the song. And that's when it just enhances everything, because as a writer, that process also. And, artists talk about really deeply personal things. So when you share that, I know it's therapeutic. It's like church for me sometimes. And I know while all artists are not the same, I know that there's a reason that they're saying it for more than just themselves. And so, I can appreciate like, wow, you said that out loud, and then you shared that, and then you're just going to let it be out in the ether, So I would say just a lot of appreciation.
It sounds like the vulnerability is the vulnerability for you. Like when you can hear somebody really kind of tapping into their soul, and really bleeding with that, right? If you can, like, before I wrote, one of the things that I was told was, before I wrote my book, one of the things I was told is, hey, are you prepared
this
to
book
bleed?
right here, right?
Yes, that book right
I need to be purchasing. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, Day by Day, Volume 1, The Willing, available everywhere. But I was told in the so each of my poems has like a little introductory paragraph that kind of explains it. And when I was in the process of writing that part, the poetry came easy. The introductory part where you explain stuff was a little bit more thought out. Like, I really got to say where this came from. And when I said I was going to do it, one of my homies was like, he was like, so are you ready to bleed? I was like, huh? He was like, yeah, you got to bleed through that. You got to tell them. You got to dig in. And I was like, okay.
We're doing this? I don't want to. I don't want to. I just want them to either get it. I don't want to explain.
Right. Like that's where you got to face yourself. Like the art was kind of like the poem was the easy part. I'm just gonna put this out. I can just say it, I can convey it. But when I gotta break it down,
right?
Like, oh, hold up, So
I can't imagine actually telling someone where I was coming from. because the art is a veil. I want it to be veiled. I want you to take it however you take it. But if you know on that particular day that it was like a really tough, depressing, desperate day, and out of that came this, that's way more vulnerable. So I tip my hat to you if you actually explain, and it depends on how you explain it. So when I buy, I will see it. But I just can't imagine what that was like to say, well, let me take you through where I was coming from.
So let me ask you this. With that said, were there any parts of your book when you was writing that like people would come back and you get feedback, and I'm sure you love all your work, but you look at it be like that was the one, because I didn't think that would be the one that hit you, and like it's almost like wait what? All right, like were there any moments like that?
Let me think. I would say there's like certain lines that would hit people that for me, that was like surface level line. But for them, it was really deep. And then my deep stuff, I'm like, but you ain't, how you missed that part? Like that was the crux of the point right there. So maybe stuff like that. But I think what I like about poetry and just art, period, is that the interpreter gets to, I guess, ingest it the way that they do. And so, yeah, I mean, I appreciate all of the feedback, but it is interesting to see what someone was more drawn to. And then I love the conversation that happens like after that.
So fun fact, which I probably wouldn't have said this publicly, but I will because this is a good conversation. Um, as a part of my process, that made me separate what I would do for an ebook and an audiobook and releasing, like almost making sure that things were
Mm,
paced out, because I wanted the first time that people read my words, you read my words. Or excuse me, you read those words. You don't hear my voice saying them. You don't like. I didn't want it to be taken that way. Now I'm almost a quarter into the
mm,
time frame, so then it's time to kind of hear my words behind it or something like that. But like because I didn't. Whereas I might give the point in the book, I wanted people to interpret it and feel how you feel, and then just take that
mm-hmm,
with and walk away with it. So I definitely get that feeling.
mm-hmm.
Who are
Yeah,
some of
I'm
your favorite
thinking
artists?
of, say
Like
that again.
writers? Who are some of your favorite writers?
This is going to sound, I don't know how it's going to sound. I stray away from other people's poetry when I'm in my own writing process.
Yeah.
But when I'm outside of it, I can appreciate like a Maya and Angelou. And there's some like other Instagram writers who, yeah, I'm drawn to. But it's funny, I don't want the influence. And so I know one other person, he actually, passed away some time ago, but one other person actually understood the reason why you don't want to read other people's stuff while trying to like create. And so in one way, I'm like kind of apologizing. And then I'm like, no, I'm not. Like I just want to kind of keep my own style. Um, but as far as like, because non-poetic authors, yeah, I mean, I'll read a Eric Jerome Dickey, a Terry McMillan. Um, I read like psychology books and like, self-help, all of that good stuff. So I would say if it's like not poetry, yeah, I have a list there. But if it is poetry, I'm just like, no, maybe I'll read that once I'm not in my own, creative
No.
space. Just so I'm not picking up on other people's stuff, like on an energetic level.
So I actually learned that just because that comes to me from music. Missy Elliott does not listen to other music when she creates. That's which is all.
Mm,
If you ever think about how creative Missy is, her music never sounds like anything that's out. It always has her.
exactly.
It never sounds, but that's
Mm-hmm.
very purposely. She'll listen to people outside of her correct writing space, which is why she can work with so many people. But when she's creating,
Mm-hmm.
nah, because I don't want that to seep into what I'm doing. I need my own vibe,
Mm-hmm.
my own frequency. So I get it.
Yeah. I didn't even
That
know she said that, but
yeah,
that's the
neither did
exact
I.
reason. Right.
See, that's how
Okay, so
hard
I'm not
G goes
alone. I mean,
into
I'm not
music.
Missy, but I'm not alone.
Listen, well, it's about when you're creative. You are Missy. Why not? Listen, when you're in that space, because it's
Say it with
all
your
about.
chest.
That's right. Like that greatness within art just kind of can flow through you. And
Mm-hmm.
because you're using the sum of your experiences with your knowledge. Like, okay, so that makes me ask this question. With everything that you that you've gained from being a therapist, how do you feel like that has affected what your writing?
Mm. You know, it's like I think being a therapist actually found me as well. And so it's funny how all of these things, these life experiences come together, but there are times where I will hear a certain person's story and that will become a poem. And I'll obviously make sure that there's no identifying information or anything like that. But I do have a piece where I was working with a client maybe 8 years ago, and she just kind of like lost like the fight in her. And that was all I needed to just kind of spin off because I was taking my own self through the process of how am I to help her when I really don't have anything to say? But what can I say to her right now that's going to give her this encouragement for, tomorrow and a few more tomorrows, and hopefully not harming herself. So it's kind of like, I guess, seeing the humanity in other people that kind of confirms how relatable some of these pieces are. And let's say someone is going through anxiety or depression, I might say it in a certain way because I get it on like a scientific level, but also like on just being a human and trying to do life every day with all these different challenges. So I guess it just, I don't know, I guess it made me like well-rounded where who approaches me, they can just, I don't know, I kind of like seep it in. I got to get it out some kind of way because people are giving me their stuff like for 1 hour per week. And then what do I do with it now? So I don't know if I answered your question because I kind of lost my train of thought. But yeah, just being like this vessel and trying to figure out, well, how do I organize this based on what I'm hearing from others?
So, no, so A, yes, it does answer my question. So here's the thing. Here, I guess here's how I kind of look at it. Um,
Hmm.
Not to go too deep, but we here now. Just like the thought of kind of feeling that being empathic, right, and being
Yeah,
that create being in a creative space means that we are a vessel to transfer that energy, right? That whole energy
yeah,
doesn't die thing, but it's able to pass through us. So when you're in those moments, you kind of take it in, and then you're able to kind of even convey it in a way in which it allows others to make sense, like it makes sense of it and
yeah.
connect to it. And
Hmm.
feel that they're not alone, because I think that's a large part of what we do to make people feel like, hey, listen,
Yeah.
it's not just me.
Hmm.
I've told people often, my story is not unique. It's just the fact that I told it. That's it. You know.
Yes.
So, and I think that that's what you kind of do make available for many people because of what you're able to take in.
Hmm. Yeah, I've had a couple of clients who have wanted to purchase the book and it's been helpful for them. And so while that's vulnerable for me, because now they're seeing me in a different light, I'm just like, okay, well, this is me, the person, and hopefully it helps. And so one client read it like right away, just like front to back, and gave me all this feedback. And, it didn't change our therapeutic relationship. It just made her, I guess, understand, even though she knew I was real the whole time, like how real I am. So, at first that made me a little hesitant, like, you want to what? And I'm like, you know what? It's fine.
Mhm.
But yeah, transmuting other people's pain and trying to describe it on the outside of their body, I have to do that on a daily basis anyway. So I guess, kind of bringing it full circle, um, it's just another way that I am like channeling pain and also joy and love and all of that, just putting it in this compilation.
I assume that helps prevent you from holding on to it, right? Because you take in so
Yes.
much, so it becomes your own.
Hmm.
Is writing your therapy? Would you consider that?
One of many therapies, along with, working out and listening to music and just even energy protection. So, um, I don't have time today to get into it, but even having certain, like I work with crystals and I work with aromatherapy so that my energy and my aura is not carrying like the 20 people that I see per week. Just
Mm.
making sure it's off of me because I do have that empathic nature where I'm more of a dotted line than a solid line. So I'm pretty permeable to people's stuff. And with me knowing that, that means I need even more protection so that I'm not carrying that when I'm trying to, let's say, parent my son or do therapy with the next person in the next hour. You imagine if I didn't know how to do that, I would be like upset and then seeing the next person with a frown face, like it just wouldn't work. So yeah, that's one thing I've learned over these years is how important energy protection is, since I'm that kind of like spirit.
It's interesting that you say that, because like I can
Mm.
be very similar in ways, and people don't like it. It sounds harsh what I'm about to say, but it's just the truth and how I process a lot of information. Um,
Hmm.
I can connect to people, or people can feel connected in moments, because I can understand. I can't always allow
Hmm.
myself to care, right? So,
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
sounds harsh when you say that. Like, I understand, but I don't care, because me understanding, and all people need is understanding. Most of the time, they need you to understand enough that you can kind of convey the message out and help them see it clearly. But if I care, that means I'm invested. And I
Hmm.
can't be invested that much, because it's not my problem. Like, I can't, like, I can't hold on to that. So it's too heavy. You know what I'm
Ah,
saying? So I can't always
yeah,
care, but you can feel like I care, because I understood enough to be able to express. But so
Wow,
that's
I
how I
remember this
yeah.
conversation.
Oh yeah. So
Yo,
I'll give you guys this. I someone gave me this, and I'll kind of give it because it's definitely for free. You can care but not carry. And
Okay.
so that's
Mhm.
how I'm approaching the people. Like, yeah, I care right now deeply, but when this session is over, I'm not going to carry it. It's not mine. It's not my work to do. And so,
Mm.
yeah, maybe that sounds a little better. I mean, I'm not saying change
It
your
does.
language, but I'm just
No,
saying.
oh no, it definitely sounds better. I just like to be shocking. I want the people to be like, "Oh wait, no, he
Yeah,
just said it."
G's
Yeah,
Because I
like
don't even
whack,
care
whack,
about
whack,
you
whack.
now. Yeah, press on.
listen, I can care about you, okay, as a human being. General
Mhm.
template, okay. but,
Right.
but as far
It's
as
because you're
but there's
breathing.
levels to that. Yeah, that's what's up. Like I want you to be alive. I want you to be good energy in the atmosphere, so they don't come back and affect me in a negative
Hmm.
way. So I need you
Hmm.
to have that good
Yeah,
energy.
but it stops here.
It,
You're right.
I mean, there are
Wow.
lines. Listen, even they had to put up a whole light in the sky to get Batman to come out. Okay, you wasn't just like it
Hmm.
wasn't for everybody. There were always a
It's
disclaimer.
true. Hmm.
He would
Hmm.
kick that the
That's
day
a
after
way to put
Batman
that.
Day.
Just saying, that's a fact.
He
Like,
would, right?
Yeah.
gotta put the light up in the sky.
So
um,
LJ, what was you about to say, G?
I do have two quick more questions, because I know where you about to go, Tuck. But real
Hmm.
quick, is there a favorite piece that you wrote that's in the book? Like, do you have one that's like, okay, this was my favorite one?
Mm. Hmm. There are three, and I think they're my favorites because I have done them so much that it's almost like an actor that's learning lines, but now they are the lines. And so, because I've done them so much, it's like I know how to hit it a certain way, but they're timeless, and they're always it's like always relatable. And people have come up to me with that feedback of like, wow, like this, I definitely get. So yeah, I would say there are like three that I would say are my favorites for that reason. And then just like with artists, it's like I can't name a favorite because they're all good, like that kind of thing.
So are you gonna give us one of the favorites though? Like she got me on the edge of my seat. Like which one is it? I need to know. Like
Hmm. So you want me to read one, or you want me to perform one?
no, you don't have to do all that. You're welcome
Okay.
to. Okay, we
Oh,
won't
because
stop.
he's
Okay.
gonna
I was
perform a
like, I don't know
poem
what
at
you
the
what
end
you
of
asking.
this. Yeah,
Oh, I
because
didn't know that.
he performs at the end of every broadcast. He takes the topics we
Oh.
talked about and he just goes off the dome for about a minute or two. So yeah, he's going to perform. So if you want to read something to perform, please feel free.
Oh, geez. Okay. Um, it used to be called "How Are You," but it now in the book is called a half full, half empty greeting. This one I would explain. So, you know how, we're walking past people and we're just throwing out these surface level greetings like, oh, hey, how are you? And that person has already passed you before you've actually answered because they don't really care what you're about to say. They are just giving it as like a hello, basically. So with this, I'm imagining that I'm talking to someone that I actually just like a stranger though. And I'm saying to them how I'm actually doing. And I'm keeping them for at least like, 3 or 4 minutes. And so That's like the explanation of it. Now I'm gonna make sure that I have all the words, but I basically know it by heart. Hold on, I'm just gonna find it. Oh, that's why I have a table of contents. Now, come on now. Okay, let's see.
Side note, while she does that, that hurt my feelings.
Mhm.
Looking through my book to
There it
find a
is.
specific poem and feeling like I should just know where this is at, and then you're like, I
Right,
gotta
right.
look
You
through
be
the
like,
pages.
ooh. No, I know it, but I just wanted to like. I feel like because it's been a while, I just wanted to make sure I had it as like a little like reference. But yeah. Okay. How are you? I'm fine, and you? I'm good. Who cares? Not you. One word can't describe how I'm doing, so I'll define it to I ruin your expectations of a short reply. I'm anxious. I'm anxious to know what it's going to be, who it's going to be, and am I going to be happy with that? And when is that going to be? I'm frustrated. Frustrated with if. Dying to move to the land of is and is not. Seems light years away these days. My rocket's losing gas, gushing out fast. Need to patch that up before I crash, land on maybe. I'm afraid. Afraid of losing half of me. 23 chromosomes that gave me these eyes, this tenacity, the sweetheart in me, struggling constantly with inevitability. She holds my sanity, and when she can't, who got me? I'm sure you got to go by now. Thought I'd fake it again somehow, but I'm tired. I'm tired of plastering this smile. This veneer is losing its luster. Can't muster up enough sheen to slip to a better state of mind. But yeah, I'm fine. And you? I'm good. Who cares? Not you. Can took a vacation. Sublet it to can't. Therefore, I can't brush it off. My bristles are worn. Can't snap out of it. My fingers are torn on hope's jagged edge. See, this is where I live right now, looking over the hedge, wondering if it's true that over there's a brighter hue. I'm slipping, slipping on the buttons of life's etch a sketch. Straight lines supposed to be easy, right? Not without light. Wait, almost got it. Hit another bump. Shook my whole thing up. So here I am at the lines once again, ready to dash out the blocks. My sneaks got stolen. I'm working with socks, holes in those. Squinting to see my lane is starting to rain. This could get tricky like Bambi's try at ice. Wasn't pretty, but I'm trying to find my niche in a life with occupied corners. Middle of the floor isn't fun without someone to dance with, to love, laugh, live life. So I'm living, never giving up. Just gets tough to brave the cold when I just told myself to shed some layers, let the sun touch my soul. I need relief. If relief were fresh air, my window would be painted open forever, no matter the weather. Things must get better, they always do. Patience is a virtue, never been more true. You picked the wrong one today. Weren't prepared for what I had to say, and I'm fresh out of sugar. Got too heavy. Price became too hefty. Now, F it was on sale, displayed right next to TMI, so I apologize if I'm wasting your time. Took the other pill for a change, so I wasn't able to comply with your required script. I know you ain't digging this dose of the real me. Let me slip on the cloak again and make it easy. Go ahead, repeat. I'm ready. How are you? I'm fine, and you? I'm good. Who cares? Not you.
Whew, talk about it. Hey,
Man.
talk about it. What we
Thank
doing?
you.
Listen. Random question. I'm gonna make it connect in 2 seconds. Were you what position did you play point guard?
Mm-mm. Too
What's
tall
what
for that.
position?
I was a backup center.
Oh, okay.
I my handle came later, so no, I was like a forward center, like you know,
I'm
blocking
gonna tell you.
shots, posting
I'm gonna
up.
tell you. I only asked that question because you like your flow. Like I could hear. Like I get why that's your favorite as a writer. Outside of like though, so it's. I find it always interesting that when you write and you kind of expose how you can feel, people
Hmm.
connect to the emotional side. But as a writer, sometimes you be like, you ain't hear how I just, like I think of it like basketball, how I just crossed on that thing, like it was like little whoop de whoop on that. You ain't hear
Exactly.
like the alliteration was
Hmm.
mean. I started like you can see
Hmm.
how that what that took to be like, oh, they gonna have to read this 3 times to catch what I just did. Like you know. So like,
Exactly.
yeah, that was dope. That was good.
Thank you.
So LJ, before we roll out real quick, tell people where they could find you, find the book, and all that good information on your socials.
Oh yeah. So my author site on IG is, yes, it's that whole entire um title of the book. So Evolution of a Butterfly's Truth. Yes, that's the whole tag for IG. Um and then the website is a butterfliestruth.com, and so that's where people can order the book. It is also on Amazon, and so yeah, it's also on Amazon as well. And so I would say, through there, and there's a contact page on the site, but then of course, I can also be reached through that Instagram page.
Okay, that's what's up, man. I really, again, I want to thank you for taking time out, to sit and chat with us too. I know this is probably one of the better interviews that we had where I got to just sit back and watch G steer the helm. Because usually I'm the mouthpiece, but I knew this was a topic that he's intimate with and everything. Because, like I said, I'm just
Hmm.
a reader. Like how he just explained it, I would have to read that poem a couple times to see the wordplay, the zigzag, where him being a writer popped into it and was like, ooh, 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 like
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
Right.
I'm
He was working
watching,
out.
I'm watching the replay. He watched it happen, so that's what's that.
Hmm.
And like I said,
No, I enjoyed myself. This was awesome.
yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And like I said, at the end of every broadcast me and G does, he takes the topics, or if we give him a word or something, he just goes off the dome and everything like that. G, you ready for that, man?
Yeah. So and no, and LaShawn, I'm gonna let you pick because normally what I would do is ask you, give me like a word or something to go, or I can
Mm.
go like in my mind. What you just did, like moments like those, poets inspire me. Like when I hear that, to like almost like a response, like because I don't get to co-write a
Hmm.
lot, but like I enjoy that
Hmm.
feeling of okay, I get it, and then kind of flipping the perspective and taking it that way. So either you give me a
Yeah,
word,
do
I can
that.
just go in,
Yeah. No,
okay,
no, no,
or I
no, no,
can
no. If you're inspired, go with that, because that's going to feel better for this moment, since it comes right after mine. No, I like this process.
okay, okay, cool. And side note, with that said, what I also heard you do that I noticed, and this is nerding out writing wise. After you concluded it, right? When you were writing it in my mind, it felt like there was a point in which you said bye, and then and then it's almost like you watched like you was walking away, and then you like hold up, and then you like did that last little run, and like it, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And it was almost like it reminds me of when um bands are playing together, and then the song is technically over, but now hold up, let me run it for a second,
Right,
and that's how it sounded,
right.
like
You're
you
gonna
just
jam
ran it,
out.
and I was like, yeah, like I was like, okay, when she wrote, because you say bye technically, and then you keep going,
Hmm.
and it's like I was like, she was in it, like I could
Right.
just hear it, like I was like, yeah, that's dope. Okay,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I'm sure you got to go by now. Like, yeah.
yeah, yeah, that was fire. All right. So let me do my thing. G dash. By the way, just because it's here, FYI, so you know, I'll probably just cut it from this, but this will be on Facebook and on IG later today. So I'm gonna cut this poem out and post it up there, and I'll tag you in it as well. With that said, so
Yes.
this is
Nice.
yeah, so this is G Dash, fresh off the Board and DE podcast. Day by Day, Volume One. The Will and the book is out. By the way, the event is next Saturday. Funk and Chill. So hit me up for tickets for that, all that cool stuff. And
Got
we
my
are Board and
ticket.
DE. Yeah, listen, we ready, So it's gonna be a good time. With that said, today's guests we had LaShawn Janelle, LJ Waters. Um, and just talking about her book and everything with that. As you can see, scrolling across the bottom, right, gives you the information you need. So I'm going to go with the poem based on one of the poems from her book. All right. Which if you don't know what it is, then you need to listen to the episode and you're gonna hear it too. And then you understand what I'm talking about. Either way. But I think you'll follow me anyway. So with that said, I'm thinking, hello, how are you? Okay. Oh wow. That's how you're feeling. Uh, I know that you're telling me all this, and this is what's coming out your mouth, and I know that I'm supposed to be listening, but I'm not right now because I tend to only listen to myself while you speak your words out, and I'm only waiting for my time to speak so I can say "Have a nice day" now, and I didn't. I didn't, because I'm contemplating, wait, maybe I should really listen, because maybe what you're saying is important and I should really take it in. But honestly, life isn't that complicated. Like, this isn't physics. At least that's not how I speak it. That's not how I live it. That's not how I see it. So truth be told, when I asked you how you're doing into your soul, I wasn't trying to stay. I just wanted to visit. But you're trying to make this so explicit. Why? I don't understand. I get it. I get it. I just wanted you to tell me some bullshit. Like, this is all beautiful and life is just exquisite, so I can go about my day. But instead, you're giving it to me in a way that I have to digest it. And I'm like, okay, hey, how do I respond? Now I'm thinking, because she's probably going to ask me how I'm doing. And if I'm too real, then she's going to understand that I wasn't even listening to how she's doing and whose burden is supposed to give who. I don't really get how that's supposed to move. So let me just act like I'm in my groove and smile like I'm not confused. And she told me how she's doing, because I probably could offer a helping hand or two, but I got places to be. And she already taken up a minute or three. And I get it. When I ask you how you're doing, it's not supposed to be about me, but obviously it's always about me. So what do you want me to do? Okay. I get it. I'm supposed to care about you. I'm supposed to care about what you're going through, because humanity says that, we have to be giving of ourselves for a second or two. But she took up three of mine. And I get it. I'm supposed to just act like I can see that she's having a hard time. And maybe I can say I can offer my thoughts and prayers, knowing I won't pray for her, not this time, knowing that I can't think about it after this time, knowing that after this second is spent. Oh, okay, I get it. I'm wrong for this. Right now, it's my fault. I'm being ignorant if I'm honest about how I received this experience. Okay, maybe I should say, no, that's not TMI for me. I'd rather listen to random folks' business and be just as deep from watching TMZ. It's funny how that can happen easily, because I can watch somebody who I actually take the time to meet and take the time to speak and not think that deep about what they go through, but spend all my time caring about a celebrity. That's a call back to a Tuck rant that y'all could see a couple days ago if you missed it coming from me. Either way, okay, you'll appreciate where I'm taking this right now. So when I ask you how you're doing, I got to ask myself, do I care about what's going to come out your mouth?
Whew. Yeah. Well, that was talent. I'm just digesting all of that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
how you can do that. I'm not good on my toes like that. And if I had a pen, like poetry community, you throw pens, you just, that's your show of appreciation. That's crazy. Yeah, that was great.
Thank you. So I was inspired by it, because I was like, I listened, and when I listened, I was like, oh, so hey, when great art always inspires me anyway. So that was just dope. And then I started to, I was like, okay, when I start going, it's like, how can I want to respond. Now, I don't know. So to be completely honest, I tell people all the time, I don't know. I'll have ideas of what I'm going to pull out when I do it. So I listen to you, and it's like my mind bullet points, and I start to talk, and all that goes away, like whitewash. Just like, okay, now you're here, and you just start, and now I'm in it, and I don't know how I'm gonna get out. I'm just conveying. So it was like the response of how somebody responds to that internally, the same way that you gave that internal thing, like, and it was like, okay, yeah, like, so yeah, that's where that goes, and it calls back, like, so. By the way, if in case anybody has missed it, Tuck does these rants. Okay, so I don't remember what I said. I know what was the rant that you did, Tuck? Because I know I called to it, but now I don't remember what I said.
Oh, you talking about the one where I said people be knowing more about celebrities than they know about people in their own family?
Right. That's where that whole came from. When I'm done the poem, I don't remember it. I don't remember it. I just know I called back to his rant. So yeah, that's why it just all tied in that moment. That was interesting.
That was dope though, man. I'm a fan, and LJ, we definitely gotta get copies of your book and everything, because
absolutely,
I'm dying to dig into it. But as G said, books available everywhere. And I know he's sitting there like, this brother actually keeps it by his desk.
Oh, no, I peeped it when I was over there last time. I said, yep, that's where it's supposed to be.
Exactly. It's supposed to be in your hand. You got to stay ready.
Because I know y'all creative, but every now and then when I'm sitting here working on some music or working on something, I said, I have to give my eyes a rest, especially when I'm doing some graphics or some coding. So I'll sit back, and what I'll do, I'll thumbing through the book, and I'll see something, then I'll go back to the beginning of it, and I'll start reading. And I'm like, oh, man, that young boy deep. That young boy good.
That boy good.
So LaShawn, you'll appreciate this because that took me a while. So when people purchase the book, they read poems like separately. Like they don't like
Mm-hmm.
they do what he just said is what they do. And in my mind, when I was writing the book, people would read it straight through, and that's how it would be digested.
That's what I
And that
thought.
is,
Yeah,
boy, was
not
I
the case.
wrong?
It's literally not the case. Yeah,
I
I
think
didn't know
those
that
of
that was going
us
to happen.
that read you guys work, yeah, we're guilty. We'll thumb through it and everything like that. But then we'll come across an entry in the book that'll make us like, you know what, I need to start this from the beginning because I done hopped in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of this movie. I need to know how
Mm-hmm.
we got here.
Mm-hmm.
I look at, reading a book to me is like watching a film, watching a movie, hearing the story. If I just hop in the middle of the story, how did these people get here? I need to double back
Right.
and read the beginning of the book. But yeah, when I first got it, the first thing I'm doing is flipping through it and, oh, okay. Oh, that's deep. That's deep. But then when you get time to go back and you go through it as the way you planned it for us, it opens up a whole bunch of new avenues. And plus, like, for those of us that aren't, word poets or anything like that, it pays for us to go back and read some things. Because I might
Mm-hmm.
interpret it one way off my first reading. Then the second time, if I'm going through everything fully, the second time I read it, it's like, oh, I missed that. That's dope. That's
Oh
dope.
yeah.
It's almost like how
Yeah.
some people go watch the same movie over and over and still pick out new shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, or it's such an album. That's what it is. That's
Yeah.
like
Yes.
it's an album. Like when we write this
Yes.
thing, like I kept telling myself that it's not music. So this is a book, right? So there's certain subtle differences, but the way people
Mm-hmm.
digest it is the same. Like listen,
Yes.
I just
Yeah. And attention span is different also. So I think all of those things come into play. Yeah, I've definitely, like other people's books, I might just say, okay, where, like, kind of do it like a game. Like, okay, let me page through and see where I land and see if it catches me. And so I can see both sides to that.
Oh, that's what's up. But this has been a dope interview. Again, thank you for coming out and
I had
hanging with us
fun.
here at BOREDinDE. And we're about to go ahead and sign off now. So from me, Tuck, Jarrell, we appreciate and love you guys. Make sure you follow the site, BOREDinDE.com. We're on social media as BOREDinDE. And until next time, welcome to season 3.
All right. Thank you.